Welcome to Contractor Cuts, where we cover the good, the bad, and the ugly of growing a successful contracting company.
My name is Clark Turner.
I'm Jared Flo.
And welcome back to Contractor Cuts. Today we are covering our last podcast for now on hiring, right? We've covered 5 in a row. We've started with the theory of hiring. Then we went to, when are you ready to hire? Who should you be hiring? And today is kind of a continuation of who is how. Yeah, that's right. So how you should hire is kind of our breakdown of every step that we do. If you watch our video, it's our longest and probably our most info-filled one out of all of our videos.
It's a really good one. You'll need a notepad. There's a lot of information, but it's really great.
We break down where we find people all the way through interview, every step of our interview, through job offer, how we build compensation package.
Some of the techniques that we've done and implemented that really help hone in the right person.
Yeah, so it's a really good video. So I would suggest going to our website, ProServeAlliance.com, and going to our education and videos. Watch that. It corresponds with today's podcast. So today, though, the podcast of how to hire, we're going to cover when I'm hiring, where do I start, what am I looking for during the hiring process, and then how do I finish? How do I make a job offer? So where we get started, when you're getting started with hiring, what's the first thing, Jared, that you're going to be looking to do to get started?
Well, once you've determined that you're ready to hire. Mm-hmm. And you know what job position that you're going to be hiring for, you need to understand what that job position is going to have to be responsible for. Yeah. So writing out a detailed job description that spells out everything that person's going to be doing. Like if they're a project manager, they need to know, basic project contracting skills. They need to know how to run crews, maybe need to find crews, just all the different things that are going to be necessary for that job position, and maybe even the things that they're not going to be required to do that are handled by somebody else or you handle it. But knowing exactly what their job responsibility is going to be is going to help you as you're bringing in those resumes and interviewing and talking to people, hone in as they talk to you of like, oh, that'll fit this job skill or requirement or whatever. So the job description is kind of where you start the process.
Yeah, and I think we see a lot of guys, their very first hire, there's no written job description. There's no formal interview. It's always, a buddy of mine's going to start working for me, and it kind of turns into something. Or it is, I met a guy at a bar, and I was saying I'd really need help, and he was looking for a job, so I hired him. The biggest issue that I think that people think, well, it's just me. I'm a one-man show. I'm out here trying to figure this out.
Who do I think I am doing all this crazy stuff?
Exactly.
Right.
So as seriously as you take yourself, that's how serious people are going to take you. So you don't have an office, no problem. Wear nice clothes, take it seriously, have a written job description, ask for a resume, take them to Starbucks and interview them to, phone interview over Zoom, whatever it is. Take yourself seriously because others will take you seriously too, and have a written job description of what they're going to be doing, right? Give them guidance of what that looks like, and give yourself guidance of what you're looking for.
Right. And I think outside of knowing that when you're doing your interviews, I think there's 2 other things. One, when you're trying to find who to interview, typically you're going to post it out on like an Indeed or Facebook or whatever. What do you post out there?
Yeah.
A job description so that person knows what they're applying for. And I think secondly, with no job description and bringing somebody in, then their job description ends up being everything. Yeah. You're a catch-all. You're a gopher. You do everything that needs to be done, and that's a real easy way to make a great person get burnout. Yep. But if you have a detailed job description, now they've got some guidelines and boundaries of, I know what I'm responsible for. And they also know it helps them see when they're achieving and doing well because it's
not a moving target.
That's right. It's not a move. That's a great way of saying it. That's exactly it.
Well, and so that's you prepare that. You got your job description, right? You sit down you put it out there. You line up some interviews. You get some resumes in. In the video that we go through how to assess those resumes, how to say yes and no, and how to do the phone interview with them. But the key to when we're doing these interviews is we're looking for 2 main things with a person, right? Who they are and the skills they possess to do the job that we're hiring them for.
Right. Experience, skills, whatever. Yeah.
2 separate columns that we're looking check boxes on. Now, who they are is often missed in this industry.
Yep.
It's usually, and we talked about this before, it's usually what can you do for this company? What's your skill level? How long have you been doing this? What do you bring to the table? And
skill level dictates how fast you can make me money.
Yep.
And the who you are doesn't really feel like it has anything to do with making money for the company.
Yep, correct. And so we're assessing both those. And honestly, who you are is more important, and what you know how to do is what increases how much we have to pay you.
And what you know how to do, those things can be trained.
Yep.
Typically, the who you are the intangibles, the things that you either have those skills or you don't.
Yep, absolutely. So for us, we've as if you followed any of our videos or podcasts, we are heavy on who you are, because that's the core of your company, and those people that you hire are forming the actual body of your company, and
they're creating the culture of your company.
Yeah, and so that is so important. But we never ignore what they know and their ability to know and their ability to grow in the knowledge, because that's a very important part of this too. We're not saying ignore that. It's just that's usually highlighted in construction. For us, that's very important. It's 50% of the product, but I can teach you that. So I'm okay if I'm going to sacrifice check boxes in one of these columns, it's going to be on this one.
Right.
I might have 0 check boxes. If this column's full, you might get a job.
Well, and the thing is, on the experience level, it may not be that they know the difference between a pressure treated piece of wood and a yellow wood, but they have, on the skills level, they've worked in a job that they had to manage people and products coming in and out of a property and organizing schedules and time frames, and it may not be in the construction business, but it's still in the skill level, right?
Yep.
So
I think that's good. So when we're looking at those two different columns, let's talk through an interview with someone of identifying the differences in those columns, right? So the column, let's start with the skill set. That's an easy one to identify. We do some things that you can steal from us that is super easy to test the skill level.
And the reason for that is that it's an interview, so everybody's putting their best foot. They're saying everything that you want to hear, and most of the time it sounds great.
Yep.
All the things that they can do, and we realized after many mistakes that let's verify what they said.
Yeah,
let's
the guy that renovated homes as an assistant to his dad growing up has often turned out to know more than the guy that's been running with the general contractor for 4 years. So it's one of those things of, we understand that you've done this before, but what does done this before mean? Did you just drop materials at a job site that you picked up at Home Depot? Or do you actually have the knowledge? So the biggest way that we test this with every single employee that we bring in that's a project manager, and I'll talk about office managers too, how we test it, but we test those skills. So let's say I'm hiring Jared, we're going through an interview, and I'm saying, okay, Jared, we're done with our interview, and I'm like, I really like you. I really want to go on to a second interview. Would you have time in the next couple days to visit one of our job sites and write me up an estimate? And what do the guys always say?
Well, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you need done? What do you need written up? Well, I want you to go give me an estimate on a kitchen. There's a renovation going on. Here's an address. We always try to find a job without homeowners in it, or let someone know that we have someone stopping by.
Well, how much do you guys charge for your granite, and how much is flooring, and do you want me to do the cabinets?
They want to ask every question to get their estimate right. We send our project managers that are very, very likely to be like high candidates for us. If we're thinking about making a job offer, I'm going to send them to a job site to write up an estimate for us. Writing up an estimate will show me a number of things. 1, attention to detail. What did they capture? What did they not capture? 2, did they only look at what I asked them for, or did they make suggestions? 3, what did they price it at? You can go on Google and look up these prices. You can figure out how to paint the price of painting a house by using the internet. I don't care if you do that. If you had enough gumption to go and search that out as opposed to pull it out of your brain, that's fine. And also, when we're reviewing this, you ask them that and they'll be honest with you, because you kind of call them out on the spot and they'll say, I actually know that, and I did this, and I actually Googled to figure that out. That's fine. I want to know your process. I want to see how you assess job sites. I want to see, did you start with demo, then go to cabinets and flooring, then walls and fixture? Like, did it flow like a job would, or did you start with putting carpet in and then you went to demo and then you went to paint? Right? Assessing every part, every step of that process of how they did that estimate helps you understand the column of knowledge.
And there's also how fast they go towards how hungry they are. Are they gonna hey, we need this estimate, can you get it back to us between now and Friday? And we've had people that no problem, and they go out like Friday afternoon, and Friday late afternoon we get that back
Monday
from
morning.
them. Monday morning, right? And then we have other ones that we finish the interview at 4, and they're like, all right, I'm on the way. We've actually had a guy change clothes here after the interview and go directly over there because he had that drive, that fire. I want this job. Which is a really important thing to know. Like, how bad do they want this?
Well, one time and I think we do this when available, is send them out with one of our project managers, senior project manager here, and say, listen, he's going to a job site. Why don't you ride with him, assess the job site, and write us up an estimate. That way we get another person whose opinion is getting in. So that's one way we test that. For an office manager, we want you to do a typing test, right? It's a simple. I tell the story in the video, but we've had people. We had one that came in, and we didn't even think about giving a typing test. And first day, she was like,
the first day she was doing that, and she literally had the computer mouse upside down.
Yeah, and it was like, this isn't this. I'm sorry. The first day you're here, we got to let you go. And so
that was our bad.
Yeah,
we
again
botched it.
30-second typing test on a computer. It's kind of weird to ask, but everyone's done it and it's been great. So that's how we test that side. The other side, and let's go into the more important side that's harder to test because it's not knowledge or not knowledge. It's who they are. That side of it, we start from the very first contact with them. The who they are, we assess from when they first sent the resume, how the resume is written, grammar and spelling, everything from how they return phone calls, what their voicemail sounds like. We look them up on Facebook and see if they've got a bunch of pornography posted, drugs and paraphernalia. Like, what's your public? What are you making decisions on putting out in the public? It's going to be representing us. Every little aspect that we can soak up in terms of knowledge about the person, we're assessing that.
Well, and for me, when I was going through the interview process, I was looking for a project manager, and I had tons and tons and tons of resumes, and I made it a point to never make the first move a phone call. I would review the resume. If it was somebody I was interested in talking to, I would send them an email. And I would ask for specific ways for them to reply back to me. Whatever it was, but how they responded, how fast they responded, what their email looked like. If their email was like, "Yep, not a problem," I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give them benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're busy, but that's leading me into a thought process that they're not willing to put a lot of attention behind this, or the person couldn't spell, or they didn't, they finally got back to me and it was 3 weeks later. I'm like, yeah, you're out, and so I would start that understanding of who they are from the first get-go.
Well, and if that's how they are, if they're that casual with you to get the job, how are they going to treat your clients once they have the job?
Exactly.
So I think that's key number one when we're looking at assessing who they are. From there, Jared, what are some of your favorite questions in an interview that helps get to understand them?
I think there's a slew of them. One of the ones that I really enjoy is help me understand a difficult situation that a customer's been upset with you, and how did that get resolved? What did that interaction look like? And just let them talk and see what they have to say. It kind of tells you, are they able to put themselves in the other person's shoes? Or are they a person that's just going to try and dominate their way through it and not deliver customer service and find a medium ground when there is difficulty? Are they willing to give and say, you know what, I might be wrong, so I'm going to go ahead, let's go. It just gives a lot of information about kind of who they are and how they would handle a customer service level conversation. And there's also a lot of times when you ask that question, you will get an answer that is, well, let me help you understand why this person was wrong, because they were this and they were doing this and they were doing this, and so that's why I reacted this way. And you're like,
Deferment of responsibility.
That's right. Oh. That's right. It's helping understand. One of my big things about any of the employees here, especially project managers, is you always own the ball of responsibility. It doesn't matter if you've passed the information to this person or that person. If it's not getting back in a timely manner, that ball is in your court.
Yep.
And so when I'm hiring a project manager, I need somebody who understands I'm going to get it done.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure that even if it's not my fault, I'm going to own it and make sure it gets handled, because at the end of the day, it is my responsibility.
Yep.
So that's one of mine.
Yeah, and I think one of the areas that we always go to is to be a project manager. You have to be organized and you have to be detailed. You have to have those two things. Now, I am not an organized person, right? Personally, Clark struggles and has parameters that I've built in my life to keep me organized.
Right.
And I wouldn't hire me as a project manager, right? I'm great at my job because I replaced myself in the job I wasn't good at.
Right.
And so understanding what a good project manager is, and understanding, you know what, I am good at it because I've had to do it, but where are people's strengths and where are people's weaknesses? We always ask every single interviewee, listen, I need to know your strengths and I need to know your weaknesses, and if we don't have a good answer on your weaknesses, we're not going to end this interview very well. Like, I need to know that, because everyone's got it. And if I know it, that's fine. You fit in here. We all have weaknesses. Right. And so we talk through that and kind of give them the open floor to be able to state their weaknesses. And I always say, and I don't say this out of a joke, if I can talk you out of working here, then I've done my job. Because there are some bad parts of this job. You're going to have some phone calls. You're going to pull your hair out. You're going to have clients that yell at you. If this isn't the perfect job for you, then you're not going to work here. Right. And that's the hardest part as an employee. Like, I want everyone to love it here. I want it to be perfect. I want to sell you on how great this company is. But at the same time, I have to give you all of the negatives of this job. And I have to have you buy in and say, yes, you know what? I know that stuff. I'm cool with that stuff. I'm great with dealing with that stuff. Let's go. I want to do that. Yeah.
Well, and another part and reason behind that type of question specifically is it's really important for a person, any employee, to be self-aware. Yeah. And what that shows, if a person is self-aware, then they're aware of the things they're good at, and they're also aware of the things that they're bad at. Yep. And if we can find a person who is self-aware in an interview, at an interview level, that tends to be the type of person who's willing to learn.
So give me some examples of a self-aware response versus a non-self-aware response. Like, how do you identify that when you're interviewing, sitting across the table from someone?
So if it were me, if it were me, I would say something like, when I have a large amount of tasks on my list, I have difficulty prioritizing them, and sometimes it means that I don't get a lot of things done. So what I've done is I've actually learned that if I apply this system, it helps me visualize it, and then I can prioritize those things, right? And so a response like that from somebody is like, I know a weakness. This is a weakness of mine, and I'm fine if somebody just says, yeah, this is a place where I really, really struggle. Because yes, it helps me see that they can see themselves, and they might be willing to work on it. But somebody who responds with, yeah, I'm really not great at this, but I have to do it to be good at my job. So I've learned to adapt by this. Like you said about yourself being organized, you have systems in place to help keep you in your guardrails so that you can do what you need to do.
Well, and I think that's a great way to identify, like you said, I'm self-aware because I can see these issues. I think the other side of that is, how many interviews have we been in and we've said, okay, so, strengths and weaknesses. Your strength, it sounds like, is dealing with people. Your strength, it sounds like, is running crews. Tell me, talk me through 2 or 3 of your weaknesses without using and we always call people out without saying, I work too hard, and
you get that response a lot.
Cut those legs out from under them and say, listen, I need to know where you struggle, because we all struggle, and if I know where that is, I can say, okay, I'm hiring you anyways. Yeah. So tell me where, and it's not that people don't tell you, it's that people don't know. It's the, that's a great question. Man, I guess I take on too much work. No, if you don't have a better answer than that or a quicker response, it's not that you're trying to hide it. Usually, it's more that you just aren't as self-aware.
You don't see it.
Right? You haven't been able to say, you know what, I struggle here and I'm working on this. That's maturity. Is saying, I struggle with these things and I'm working on this. I'm bad at this as a husband and I'm working on this with my wife. I'm bad at this as a father. I'm working. That's maturity in life. And so that's the more depth of understanding of yourself when we're talking, the more I'm going to want you as an employee.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, as the interviewee, the person, sitting in the interview, asking, 3 or 4 different management level people sitting around asking a question like that, it's a difficult question to answer because it feels like I'm supposed to put my best foot forward and I'm supposed to not say negative things about myself.
Yep.
And so you're asking, hey, reveal the things that you're not good at.
Yep.
But the interesting thing is that when the guys that have come in and said, yeah, this and this, I really struggle with those, but this is how it actually it promotes a level of maturity and confidence that I need that type of confidence. I need that type of person can make a decision.
Yeah.
And that's important in this job, to be able to be on site and not have to call me to say, hey, what do you think? Is this the right decision or not? I need that, so trying to identify that is really important.
Yep.
Why it's kind of, other people that have sat in with interviews for us, I think it's like you're beating a dead horse here.
Yeah.
You keep asking that question, like, no, it's important.
Yep. So the last thing that I'm going to say on that column, on the column of self-aware, or and this could be even a skill side of things, but when an interviewee walks in and we ask questions, we talk through stuff, and they come prepared with questions about us and our company and have done their research. I've looked at your website. Hey, tell me a little bit more about the market share that you guys have here in Atlanta. Tell me more about how you do this. When they come in with those questions, I'm like, they are trying to get a full picture of their job. They're not trying to win something. They're not trying to just, hey, this is who I am. Can I have a job? They have a depth in looking at the job to self-analyze, is this a good fit for me?
Right.
And for me, when they come in with those questions and they're analyzing us, I feel more comfortable because that means I want them to choose us. I don't want them just to take a job because they need the money.
I mean, this may not be the same for you, but when we've had the people that we interviewed and, we get through 98% of the interview and feeling pretty good about this person, like I think they could be great. And then we ask, do you have any questions? And they go, nope. Yeah. They immediately go down a level.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like, I don't know, if you don't have any questions about the potential future of your life, like I don't know.
Well, and how that translates to me is when they are standing in a job with my client and the client says, hey, I want to rip these cabinets out.
Yep.
And they say, great, I'm going to price out ripping out those cabinets. Are they going to think through what's behind those cabinets? What are we going to do with the flooring underneath those cabinets? What are the issues that are going to happen because we do this? Right? That mindset of being able to think beyond just what's happening right in front
of you. Almost
of
inquisitive. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that mindset alone is, where we've seen project managers fail is they think that they're just getting a set of orders and they just got to follow them.
Right.
And the problem is our project managers, to create what we've created, to have the growth, they're little mini GCs inside of our company, and their job is to satisfy the client, not just take orders and let the client lead, but take the wheel. They're driving the car themselves, and the client's coming with them. And so that means they need to be inquisitive. They need to look at the house like it's theirs. And that mindset is not teachable. That's just who people are. Now you can teach people how to look at a house, and hey, every time you walk in, ask these questions to the client. Some of that is teachable, but you're starting way ahead of the next guy if they come in with questions, asking and inquisitive about the job and want to know more about us. Right. And hey, I looked up your podcast and I looked at this and I did this. That all of that stuff happening in the background means, okay, so they care enough about this job, A, to do their research, and B, they are a researcher. Right. They're gonna when there's an issue on a job site, they are going to research it. They're not going to say,
I couldn't find that cabinet knob at the store.
Don't know where to find it. Yeah. So I think those. It's not that they're asking questions. It's the type of person that does that. Right. And so that's, as we're interviewing, it's all of those cues that we're looking at. And honestly, what's great about, we do 2, 3, 4 people interviews where we have 2, 3, or 4 of us in a room we rarely do a one-on-one interview. Yeah. And we do that because we catch that small pieces each that we can sit down after the interview and talk through. Okay, Jared, what did you hear? What did I hear? This is what. Oh, I didn't even catch that. That's great. And so we can really analyze together the person and kind of get on the same page.
Good feel for them.
That's what they are.
Yeah.
So
I think the one last piece about that we do to kind of find out who a person is we do a personality test. And we have one that's like very, very extensive. It sends back a 50-page report.
$225. It's a 58-page report on the person.
That level is not necessary. You can get what you want on a lower level, but something that is going to give you, how do they work? How does their brain work? How are they managed? Are they good with details? Are they good with people? Are they a dominant personality? Some of those type of things. I don't necessarily need a dominant personality as my front office phone answer.
Yeah.
I need someone who's good at dealing with people.
Mm-hmm.
Project manager, I need somebody who can manage and run the show.
Yeah.
So that's a really good one.
Yeah.
And it's also just like we do with the skill level. Hey, will you go write up an estimate for me? We're kind of verifying what you said you can do.
Yeah.
This is the other side, who you are. Let me verify what you said.
I definitely would suggest we've been doing this for 15, 16 years, the wrong way and the right way a lot, and we still look at personality tests often.
Yeah.
With hires. So if you're just getting started with hiring, or your first 4 or 5 hires that you've done, use a personality test. It's another data point of understanding, and they're free. You can find them, you can print them out and have them fill it out and grade it yourself. There's so many resources for that.
Yeah, and there's a ton of good information. Just basic, simple stuff. Yourself.
Yeah.
And if I'm bringing in my number 2, our personality is going to mesh.
Yeah.
Because, of course they're going to mesh around this table because he wants a job.
Yeah.
But are they going to mesh when things get difficult? Are we going to be able to work well together?
Mm-hmm.
And that translates all the way up when you've got multiple project manager and head of department.
Yep.
Head of department's running the show, dictating what's happening, not happening, what's okay, what's not okay. You need to make sure that manager understands this person and how to manage them.
Yeah.
Some people need motivation by talking. Some people need different, So it's a very, very helpful tool.
So we've gotten through the interview. We've sent them out to job sites. We've done secondary interview. We all sign off on, this is our guy, this is our girl, this is who's coming in.
And you've called the references.
You've called the references.
I'm telling you right now.
How many references have we not called?
A lot.
Yeah.
And it was a poor decision.
Poor decision.
Every single time.
I don't care if it's their friend that they're.
It's free information.
Yep.
Just take the time and make the phone call.
Yep. And absolutely ask for references.
Yeah.
Get those and call those. And it feels stupid. Feels like a waste of time. It is so important.
But there have been many times where I had a 100% written on somebody's resume, and I called the contacts, and I got some red flags.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay.
Yep.
And was able to come to you and some of the other management team and say, hey, this is what the references said.
And if you, in the earlier days, asking for references feels awkward. If the person makes it feel awkward and are kind of hesitant about giving you references,
there's your flag.
That's your flag. So I think that's one of the things of like, if they, we talk about core values in our interviews about how we make our decisions through our core values. We've had people kind of roll their eyes and laugh off core values. Great, not a problem. You're not going to work here, right? If you don't have a core value system where you understand and embrace how we make decisions right here, no problem. You shouldn't work here,
right?
And so anything that you feel kind of awkward about saying and they make you feel awkward, that's the first of many times that they're going to be looking down on you, right? Don't hire that person.
No, not that guy.
So
I think I'm sorry. One last thing. I think that it has been very clear that what we're trying to achieve in an interview is finding out about this person, understanding who they are and what their skill levels are, and doing whatever you can to do that. And I think a place that we've made miserable mistakes with, and we've had to learn, ask questions and be quiet.
Yeah.
There's somebody said to me a long time ago about doing interviews, silence is a great partner in an interview.
Yeah.
Because that silence causes somebody to get a little anxious, and sometimes they'll just start spouting stuff off. And it helps with getting real information versus their like, put together bow tie type information. But ask questions and listen.
Yep.
It's okay to promote your company and the job and why they want to work there, but it needs to be 20% or less of the conversation.
When we cover that in the video too, is
the
first interview, 20% of the conversation is about the company, 80% is about the person in the interview.
It's just crucial.
Second interview, it almost flips that. It's 80%. Now let me give you the good and the bad of this company. Let me hang that carrot out as to what your 10-year plan at this company is going to look like. And so the second interview is more, I really like you. Let me scare you away from the job.
It's kind of the let me talk you out of this, and if I can, you're not the right person anyways.
Yep. And some more about them, some questions that we had, some looking over the estimate that they wrote up for us.
Or the personality test or whatever.
Looking over that stuff. So that's kind of our process. And like I said, you can go deep into the video. So we go through the process. We go through how we do the interviews. We finish the interview. We found the guy or girl that we say, this is the person we need to make a job offer to. We want to do it. How do you do it? What's next?
Well, what's next is once we've found that person, we've now got the job description. We now have to talk to that person about what they're going to get paid.
Yeah.
How much money, what is the compensation? How are we going to set them up for success now and lay out a plan for their future?
In our quarterly trainings, we do a quarterly training here in Atlanta once a quarter right now.
Right.
Might ramp up from there. In our annual retreat that we do, we dive deep into how to build a pay scale for your entire company. Well, the way that we pay, we've never seen in the industry before in terms of how we build it. It's not.
That's why we made the spreadsheet complicated. So
it is so complicated. I mean, it's years of development to judge. But it's not a commission base. But every single project manager has a chance to get a pay bump every 6 months, and they have full control of what that pay bump is.
And that's a salary increase. That's not a bonus. That's not just a check for, whatever.
Correct. So, a lot of this industry is bonus structure, commission structure, where you might have a killer couple months, and then you might have a couple months where you got no money. And we don't like that. We like the security of a long-term paycheck that stays there. So we've built the spreadsheet that works for our partners, to where you put in their average monthly revenue that they're making, their profitability. We grade them on a weekly basis in terms of, are they doing their job well, and a bunch of other
grading system, right?
Yeah, and so all of those things combine along with a couple other factors I'm not going to get too deep into, and it spits out they're going to get a $4,000 raise, a $2,000 raise, a $10,000. It will show. It spits out the number, and it's theirs to earn. And so all year round, me as their boss, I am hoping and trying to get them a raise, which is totally opposite of most companies. Most companies are like, how cheap can I get you to work for me, and I can extract as much money out of this situation as possible as a boss, right? And so there's normally this tension of, you want more money, I don't want to pay you, fine, you're threatening to leave, okay, then I'll pay you. Don't leave. And for us,
and that doesn't lead to a good culture, a good relationship, any of that stuff.
For us, our head of renovations and general manager is aiming for every single employee to make more money. If I can get you more money, that means the company's making more money, because it takes all of the opinions out of it. There's no way to look at someone and say, you know what, he kind of makes me feel weird, so I'm not going to give him a raise. Well, he made the company $200,000 last year. We are giving him a raise, right? And so there's a way that we track that, and you need to have a math degree to understand it. But we walk through in our trainings how that works, and we give that to our executive partners.
And the beauty of that is that it removes that us versus them, the boots on the ground versus upper level management, and the fight to move up and the fight to get more money. And that's not connective. The way that this is, the head of department can literally be a cheerleader pushing and hoping for their people to make more money, to get to that next level, to go ahead and break this barrier or whatever, and it creates a team mentality where they're all pushing and going in the right direction.
Well, it's a outside subjective way to measure your value to the company. So it allows us to say, hey man, I really love having you here. look at the numbers. You didn't pull your weight. I can't give you a raise.
Yeah.
I really want to give you a raise. Here's the goals. Let's check once a month on the chart and see where you're at from here to the 6 month from now. And every year that someone's with us, there's a higher multiplier. So guys that have been here 4 or 5 years get
more opportunity.
Get opportunity to get a raise a little bit bigger than that 1 year, because if they've been here that long, we know we can invest more in them because they're going to be here long term as opposed to just a short term job. So
and versus the manager that looks at him and says, you know what, they performed a lot. I don't like the guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to give him a raise.
Tough. Pay him his value.
We have a sheet outside that is dictating. You don't have to be the bad guy if it's not good news, but you can also say, hey man, you made an extra $10,000. Your salary is going from 45 to 55 or 60 to you're increasing. So it makes it simpler.
And we say this. We would love for you to join ProServe Alliance and come in and get all this information from us.
Right.
But if you don't, the goal of what we're saying is that you want to incentivize the person coming on with a pay that will grow with their performance. Yeah. Not commission based if you can, not per job. I sold a job so I get more money. That is a short-term vision. That isn't how they're going to retire here. Right. And so for what we absolutely suggest, even if you're not using the ProServe Alliance method, to have some sort of way to tie what you're paying them and their pay raises to be measurable, that they can see, and that they have full control of earning.
And also, I mean, that is rolling out that roadmap to success for them.
Yeah.
I remember there was an employee that I brought in, and I set him down in front of this spreadsheet and said, look, where do you want to get to? What are your goals? And he said, in 2.5 years, I've got this, and this happening. And to do all of those things, I need to be at X dollar amount. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay. And I plugged the information into the spreadsheet. And I said, how long? He said, 2.5 years. He said, I told him, you hit these numbers, I'll have you there in 2 years. And you'll have a half year at that. Yeah. And he was like, you kidding me? And I was able to show him the tangible thing that was in front of him. You hit these numbers, I'll have you at the dollar amount that you need to be. Yep. And it was like, he was sold. He was like, I'm in. Let's go. Yeah. So it's a great tool.
Well, and it also allows me to motivate that guy that's going to be there but isn't there yet without having to pay them extra money that they haven't earned. Right? So you've been here for a year. I really love you. I've invested this time, effort, and money in you. I know where you can get, but you just haven't earned it here yet. And I normally, before we had this structure, I'd probably give them a little pay bump, right? Here's $5,000 extra. You've been here for a year. Thanks for your time. But instead, I can look at it and say, listen, man, you haven't earned it. We agreed on this when you started, and I really want to get you paid. Let's set some goals for the 6 month mark, and I'm going to give you the raise that the multiplier at the 1 year multiplier, which is higher than the 6 month.
Right.
I'm going to give you that one at the 6 month if you can reach it, right? Yep. I'm going to give you a carrot to reach for, but you're in charge of earning that money.
Right.
And as long as guys can see what's coming up and what they can earn, they're willing to put the time and effort in now for a little less pay.
Yep, that's right.
And that's okay. You're not taking advantage of them. You're not paying them less even though they earned it. It's, I'm not giving this to you because I like you. I'm going to let you earn it. Yep. And if you earn it, I'm going to pay you every penny of it.
Yep.
So that's kind of the structure of how we pay guys. So you sit down at the final interview, you show them that, you kind of really, you want them to understand it. They don't have to know the ins and outs of it, but you want to show them, listen, this is where we're going to offer you because of X, Y, and Z and your experience. We're going to start you at this price. I know the range was this and you wanted to be here, but listen, let me show you how in the next 12 months you're going to get to that spot.
Which if you got a good person that you want to land who might, if they're good, they might have a couple other offers.
Yep.
But if you set them down and said, let me show you my plan for you.
Yeah.
You're going to sell them all day.
And maybe it's I'm going to start you here, and I know you want to be $5,000 above that. If in 6 months you have A, B, and C happening, I'm going to go ahead and bump you $5,000.
We've done that for a lot of people.
Most guys coming in, if we can't come up with a happy number in the middle, say, can you give me 6 months at this price point, and I'll bump you there if you earn it. I mean, if they're going to be here long term, they're going to do that, right? It's $5,000 isn't going to change it, but for us, it's I want you to show that you deserve this, and we're going to get you there.
Right.
So that's kind of our pay structure. We present that with the final job offer, which is pretty much the job description, vacation, how we do all
everything
that.
They need to know.
Everything start to finish. and send that over to them, and then set up a time for them to get going and get started. So
start the training process.
That's how we hire. If you want details on what we talked about today, again, go to the video. This is the best video I think we have, or the most informational video that we have on our website right now.
A lot of nuggets. A lot of nuggets in this one.
Yep. So that is our hiring series. We would love to interact with you guys. Please send me an email, clarkturner@proservealliance.com. If I missed something, if we misspoke about stuff, email Jared. If you don't like him, if you don't like redheads, I get it.
You know, what do you do?
So please email us, jaredflow@proservealliance.com, clarkturner@proservealliance.com. Go to our website. If you want to sign up for one of our events, we often will comp the first one just so you can come test us, check it out. Reach out to us. Let us know you want to come check us out. We love to have a phone call with you. Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing. We want to tell you about what we're doing. Love to have that conversation, see if we'd be a good fit to work together. We also have our fantastic software that this whole thing's built around.
That's right.
We allow guys to just use that. You can just start with that and then come on if you want help with growth. At a future date. So we kind of have different sizes of how we help, kind of a la carte pricing, to where we kind of meet companies where they're at.
Right.
So we love to meet with you, love to have a phone call. If you want to see a demo of the software, go to our website and sign up, and we will talk to you at the next podcast.
Later.